can you please share your name?
My name is Boyce Howard. I was born in St. Petersburg, Florida. Moved to Hartford in July of 1968. My earliest memory of the library is that coming from Florida, I had experienced my first football game as a young kid. My older sisters took me to a football game. First time I ever saw a football game played live, and it was Gibbs High School versus Boca Ciega High School. Night game. Friday nights were always what they played back in the days. So coming up here, experienced my first Super Bowl in 1966 in Florida. I was captivated by the sport itself. So one day here, I just wanted to go to the library. So we ended up coming to the library because I wanted to know so much about the Green Bay Packers. I was so excited. That was my team. So I came to the Hartford Library, sat down and found a book. It's all about the Green Bay Packers. The picture on the book cover just overwhelmed me. All the gold and green helmets up against the Dallas Cowboys. It was just exciting. So that was my first love, and I stayed in the library basically just to learn everything about the Green Bay Packers. It was the first thing that got me going as far as where I am today, becoming a coach and coaching Hartford High and coaching Major League Football. I was there just about every day that I could possibly come to the library, reading on the sport. So that was exciting to me, looking at the pictures and getting the history on it from the book enlightened me to want to do something of that nature, whether it was coaching, playing, being a part of that environment was exciting to me. I was assistant coach for Arthur Dixon for 3 years, watching him. And at that time, I started filming. I can't remember what format it was, but I do have footage of him coaching the kids. So Arthur Dixon was retiring. The Stars did not have a head coach at the time, so they were searching. So I was asked by the league, did I want to coach? And then I refused at first, basically because my job and me being a fan, it was just so much at one time to process, do I have the time to? But my 3 sons were the one that actually begged me to, just to hear them being so excited about the game itself that I had been teaching them. I decided to become coach. At the time, the Stars were the bottom of the league, so it was a joke to take on the Stars. That's what they thought. But I actually put on pads, and I allowed those kids to hit me to build their confidence up, because a lot of them was afraid of just the sound of the cracking of the helmets or the pads. So I found a way to give them confidence. Each kid fed off the other kid. I would say, this kid is tough, and he's doing this, he's doing that. The other kid would try to compete. So that competitive grew within the team. Even some of the kids that were never interested in football became excited about it because they were big. So from that point, I actually sat down with them and just not talk football. We talk about life changes, the ups and downs that you're going to experience as young men. It's going to be wins and there are going to be losses. Even though the 7 years I did coach, we only lost 1 game. They knew that I cared about them farther than just football, because I would show up to their homes, talk to the parents. I needed to know the kid personally. It helped a lot. I actually visited every kid on my team's home to get to know, to draw the parents out to see, to watch, because this was a new thing for these kids to start doing something they love. And it kept them out of the streets because they were just as dedicated as I was. My practice would be full, and I would have kids from other areas to want to play for the Stars. Kids need to know that as they grow up, you're going to run into people, and you need to know everybody and not just set your mind on where you live, because you're not going to just be able to live where you live. There's places you have to go. When games were over, I made sure they shook hands. They actually sit and talk with the kids, get to know their names and become friends. That became easy after a while. Game day, they were enemies. After the game, they were friends, laughing and joking and sitting and talking. And I began to notice that legacy when I had other coaches that would talk about me. The refs that would sit and say, listen, I wish I could have my kid play for you. I watch how you coach. I watch how you love. I watch how you dedicate your time to them. And he said it was different than what he's seen in other coaches, which is not saying that the other coaches weren't doing a fantastic job. It's just that mine went beyond just football. I guess me being friends to all the kids from different teams and always would speak to them and allow my kids to do the same thing, build relationships, because that's what they needed. These young men needed relationships other than just where they lived. We had maybe 8 teams in the Hartford League. So you guys get to know each other. You're playing each other every Sunday. Let the game be the game, but after the game, learn to be friends. When I talk to my kids, even when it came to practice sometime, I kneeled to them, even if I was disciplining them. I didn't stand and hover over them as a threat. I would come on my knees and talk to them face to face. It'd calm them down and make them understand it was not an intimidation thing that I was trying to do. It was just trying to get you to understand that the process of what we're doing, we can all do it together with no intimidation. It was easy to discipline because all I had to do was say one thing and it was done. I didn't get a lot of lip back, whatever. If I say you had to run because one kid messed up and everybody had to run the lap, it was done. I learned from the parents that they were pretty excited. They wanted to be involved. After that, we became a family, not just the football players, but the grandmothers, the mothers, a few fathers, cousins. It drew people out. It drew the community out. And that was exciting for the kids. And that I learned from the parents that what I was doing for their kids was bringing their family closer together because it was bringing uncles and us together just to see the kid play and root on the kids. So that was exciting to me to see that happen. I happened to be in a club one night enjoying myself, and one of the football players that actually had got in some trouble and had to do some time in jail. And he happened to see me and stopped me in my tracks, turned around, and he was about 6'6", and he was a huge man, and I didn't even recognize until I heard the voice. And he actually turned around and gave me the biggest hug and told me how much he appreciated me being there. He said because the time he spent in lockup, every day he thought about the things I said that kept him going while he was in there. And he had promised himself when he got out, the first thing he wanted to do was be able to tell me how much he appreciated me being there for him, which touched me because then he turned to his wife, which was there, and he was in tears explaining to me the impact because I kept saying, no, I appreciate it. He said, no, you really don't understand. You really don't understand what an impact you had in my life. So I actually had to take a minute to get away because it was tearing me up. That's when that really hit me that these kids really got something out of what we were doing. And for him to make sure his wife heard every word, he brought her next to him as he spoke to me. And it was very touching. The challenges that I faced was that some kids were going to rebel. Some kids were going to think out of the box to say that I don't want to do this, I want to do that. I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way. And that came from the older kids sometimes. And you would actually have to sit them down and actually tell them what they were doing was more important because they can show their little brothers that was behind them the positive things to do, structure, so example. So it kind of reeled them back in. I think a lot of the young kids need to put the phones down and actually come to the library, experience what it is to be in the library, to open a book, not tap on a phone. Actually use your mind to actually come and interact with people. Come in the library, sit. It's discipline. It's quiet. You can actually sit back and get into you. You can go places in the library. You can be in Hartford, but you can open a book and take you many places. And you need to know that. If you can't travel that way, you can travel in your mind. Read. I think it's very important. And this is something that I used to tell the kids at practice. After we practice, I'm actually saying, kids, what did you read? What did you learn today? Or what did you learn in school today? Or whatever. Some kid had an answer. Some kids are shy about whatever. But I say, there's no need to be shy. We're a family here. So what did you learn? One kid said, I learned to get up and go to school on time. Some kids say, well, I knew when I go to the lunchroom sometime not to be rowdy, just to eat and do what I'm supposed to do. They were sharing what experience they was learning in school. There are rewards to the great things you do, no matter how small you think they are. Some of the most important things in life is learning and teaching. And I taught kids and I love kids. And it's the most remarkable thing I think a person can do is to pass on torches. I have guys that coach football now that's doing what I'm doing, and they actually wanted me to come and coach. I say, it's your turn. It's not me. I'm going to sit back and watch you do. And coaches today will say, I'm doing it because of you. So I come and watch and I enjoy the Hurricanes play. Wildcats play, and these are coaches, right now. And some of the kids that played against my kids that still would invite me to their games, to watch them do their things. I think what the parents need to do is start sharing and actually sitting down with the kids young, letting them know how important the library is. Starts at home. To read, to actually go in the library and actually read, pick up a book. If you can pick up a phone and program it to do this and blah, 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 go experience something that you have never experienced before. Challenge yourself to actually go inside the library. I mean, I tell young parents having young kids, take your kid in the library before you give them a phone. Allow them to read. I can never forget what it felt like to be in the library. I'm looking around and I'm, wow, and I'm just excited seeing all the books and never seeing that many books at one time. It was exciting. And then when I asked for a book on the Green Bay Packers, it's right there. Our library was the stepping stone far as feeding them, preparing the mind. It started there. I think they need to really know the history and how important the library is even today now, because it's an experience, a totally different experience. To actually challenge yourself to say, let me go in a library, bring my grandchild or bring whatever, something that you have not done. Not the things that you do all the time on a regular. Do something, come out of the box, go to the library so they can look around. I did it to my granddaughter recently, and she was just overwhelmed that these are books. I can read this book. Yep, oh, that's your category right there, sweetheart. But she was excited just the fact that she saw so many books. She opened it, and we started reading word from word. So there's times when she say, Papa, can we go to the library? And we have to set times to actually go to the library. She'll put her pad down and want to go to the library, just experience of being in a building and going through books and looking at different books. It was exciting to her. Should experience going to the library. I think our educators should leave the school setting, set up times where you can take your classes to the library. Let them experience it. Think about a kid that goes from kindergarten all the way through life and be able to say, I've never been in the library. The stepping stone of your progress of learning how to read, what to read, how to process. I actually took about 15 kids of mine on the football team one time. We stopped in the library and sat down for them to experience that. And they said, we had never been to a library before. And, I didn't take it at the time when they said it, but now that when I got older and I'm thinking about, wow, these kids really never been in a library. And it was this very library.
Thank you for listening to 250 Stories, a production of HPL Studios at Hartford Public Library. This episode was written and produced by Christopher T. Brown, sound by Sam Sigmund, edited by Faith Lucas, and with photography and graphic design support from Hartford Public Library's communications team and the Hartford History Center. For more information on this project, visit www.hplstudios.hplct.org. New episodes release every Tuesday, so subscribe to stay tuned.